GICM, is that what we say today?
I think it's only right.
ICM.
GICM.
How are
Man,
you guys?
doing good. Guys, we got Pierre with us. We had a great discussion with him Friday on the ICM Run co-stream. Pierre has a super big rollout coming, V2 of Collat. He's going to be chatting with us all about that, maybe showcasing, demoing. But it'll be a cool discussion. We're going to talk all things Collat, how he's innovating ICM. And Pierre, dude, we're super honored to have you back on.
Yeah, thank you for inviting again. I think the vibe here is really good. ICM is definitely heating up for season 2, and we're just super excited to be part of that, with also the V2 coming up. So yeah, super excited for that.
Dude, you're spot on. It feels like ICM is like it's percolating. You can feel it coming to surface. We're getting that community formed. Also, for those that don't know, Pierre is one of the mentors for ICM.run, so he'll be helping incubate, accelerate some projects with that whole crew over there. So he's super forward looking when it's coming to ICM, and we all know Collat was a pioneer for ICM. So how long have you been working on V2, and what can we expect with that coming soon?
Dom, before we get into V2 Collat, Pierre, can we get your take on just ICM.run from Friday? Just a recap, like the vibe you think, how you thought the launch went, what you're looking forward to. Like, would love just to double click on that, because that was like a monumental thing to see the PFPs generate like 1,200 SOL in volume, 1.2 SOL floor. Like, it just seems like the energy around this is bigger than a lot of us think.
Yeah, I think like the NFT vibe has been revived, right? For probably the past few months, if not years, haven't seen this kind of energy in the space. I think ICM is a very good catalyst for that. I think we all, as mentors, but also as contributors, and even like people that are engaging with ICM.run, really understand like the value of bringing real assets on chain, also bringing all type of assets on chain. In fact, when you just zoom out a little bit, whether it's companies, startups, whether it's going to be real estate or other asset classes, I think internet capital markets is just a very vast word, and we like to say everything capital markets now, because it goes way beyond the internet. And I think we're just ready to expand the universe of possibilities on that front. And as you just said, we've been building kind of like the platform to make it happen. Other also launch pads / incubators / contributors are actively working on that. So I think we're just about to go to the very depth of what it means to mint on chain, but also to have assets that are living on chain and perpetuating on chain. So we're just super excited for that, and ICM Run is definitely one of the incubators to make it happen. So I just think that you'll see a lot of great companies, great founders, great assets that will come out of that, and just super excited to be part of it.
I have this tweet pulled up actually from you, because I like how you said everything capital markets, and I'll share it real quick so people can see. But you put out this tweet. You said internet capital markets, and then an arrow to everything capital markets. What's the difference there? Can you kind of explain like where your head's at?
Yeah. So I mean, for us, we believe that internet capital market is definitely kind of like the narrative that has caught up over the past, I would say, 2 to 3 months, and transitioning from bringing internet native people onto on-chain rails, now to people in Web2, and assets that were previously not accessible on chain, is what we define as everything capital markets. And I think this is where the real power of on-chain is going to be unleashed, and that's why we're just focusing on that.
Yeah, again, so kind of like what Collat's already started to pioneer, more so with starting with RWA. And I guess before we jump into it, do you want to just give everyone a general overview of what Collat's doing, what you guys have done in the past, and what you're working on now going into V2?
Yeah, absolutely. So we went to market early 2025. We launched a token on Pump. That was a pretty bold move, to be honest, in the very early days. You had very low utility coins launching through this platform, just because it was really, meme centered. But we saw the power of, having a fair launch with a fair distribution as a way to, bootstrap capital, but also create a community of people who would be grinding with us, who would be kind of like the early adopters of the products, but also could understand and see the long-term vision. So, that was kind of like how we started on the market. And so from there, we shipped a mobile app that enables you to buy and sell RWAs in just a few seconds, with the utmost simplicity, without having all the complexity of Web3, right? Like I said the other day, I got my grandma buying some Ondo USDY on that app, and so for me, that's where everybody in crypto should focus on, is simplifying everything, because like we have an amazing tech, we have amazing rails, we are essentially putting everything to disrupt capital markets, but the onboarding and the experience for users is still bad, I feel. So that's why we started focusing on that, and so we built this app that is fully on chain, and so we also met the Solana super team a few months after that, and we started building that RWA launchpad for the Colosseum. And here the goal was essentially like to really transform, like keep the basics of what launchpads are for capital formation, for community formation as well. But compared to some of the existing launchpad that you have, we really focus on having the collateral asset secured. And this is where, for us, the value comes in, because we believe that any assets that is going to be tokenized and made liquid needs to have the collateral secured. Otherwise, it's just a meme coin and doesn't have value, right? So our strategy here is to ensure that we have the collateral safe and people can trade the digital representation of that, but also having kind of like the visibility and transparency of what is under that token.
Was Collat the first to do this on Solana?
I don't know, probably at least one of the first ones. I don't know if you were the first one, but we're definitely one of the early ones. Yeah.
You can take credit for it, and if we find someone else earlier, we'll correct it. But I think you could be the first.
I mean, we have like an amazing team that is working so hard, and it's all a team effort, and we've been grinding on that topic for like a long time. So it's just the matter of hard work that people often don't see, right? The months, if not the years, of working so hard and sleeping just so little, that one day just transform into something that people see. So yeah, it's just a lot of work.
How long had you guys been working on Collat before you fully pushed the token out?
A year, I would say, right? And even before, if we started talking about the concept and a very early stage, but like the company was incorporated in 2024. So yeah, it's been a while. We're in this space, yeah.
And what kind of like, you got inspiration to do this. What kind of credentials did you have that made you feel that, you're the person that could, or you and your team were the people that could go ahead and like really pioneer this?
Yeah, so I mean, like we've been in the space for a while, and I think I come from a Microsoft background. My co-founder, who's sitting next to me, also we met on Microsoft back in the days, and we were really thinking 2017, like how is crypto going to evolve and what impact is going to have in the real world, right? And that was our focus from the day that we met and discussed crypto. And so it naturally came to, all right, well, tokenization, even before it was a word, is going to be ultimately, what is going to bring real value on chain. And so then how do you put that in reality is what we've been focusing next. And we were, also with our personal network, we've had also some good connections in Europe. So we've been working a lot with Deloitte, who's been also kind of like auditing our solution. We've been also working with Ledger, with whom we have a strategic partnership for the custody of the assets, and so on and so forth. Like we have some pretty good partners, mentors, and connections to make it happen. But we also, on the other side, have kind of like the foot in the degen space. So like we understand a little bit of both worlds. We understand, what one's the degens, what TradFi wants, what everybody wants. So we're trying to put all of that together, and now accelerate the pace at which we can tokenize assets and distribute that on chain as fast as possible. And this is what we're going to be focusing on from today up until the next weeks, month, years.
Can I ask a quick question? You mentioned Deloitte. Just in terms of their work with they're not like a custody partner, but are they an auditing partner? And kind of how does that feed into when investors come to the platform and look at what they can trade and invest in? Like, what do they get from Deloitte that kind of helps make that decision easy?
Yeah, sure. So like the initial work we did with them was really more kind of like on having their stamp on like reviewing the platform, right? The protocol, the app, the processes, the operations, all of that, making sure that it was stamped. So that was kind of like the early stage. Obviously, the goal for us and with them for the collaboration is to go much further than that. Kind of like they do the reserves for USDC. The goal, ultimately would be having Deloitte auditing the assets that are, bonded on the launchpad and that we acquire with collateral, so that you have on one side kind of like an audit firm that comes and say, okay, Collateralize has XYZ assets in collateral. We do certify that, and then also us creating that proof of reserve where people could also see transparently, what is in the reserve of the launchpad, right? So that's the vision, right? So
Yeah.
at the end of the day, companies like that, they're here to have more, clients find innovative use cases, and for us, we're also looking to get like the best who are going to be able to say, okay, this RWA is well bonded, it's also secured by this platform, and also increase the trust, right, in the ecosystem, because it's definitely needed. So that's why we're heavily focusing on that too.
It feels to me like beyond the technology, beyond the liquidity, the auditing is a key component to this, because that's what, companies will put on a balance sheet or what firms will evaluate and do due diligence against.
Yeah.
Do like people issuing assets on Collat, do they is there like a bring your own auditor type thing? Like, can they bring an EY or a KPMG or, you name the auditing firm to the table? Like, how do you see yourself working with those types of auditing firms in the future?
Yeah, 100%. So like the way V2 is going to launch, for now we're going to be curating the assets ourselves in the first few days, but we are preparing a module where people will be issuing their RWAs themselves. And so in this case, right, you have to do a KYB. You have to ensure that the issuer is not going to be like a scammy dude like that's living somewhere you can't find him again if there's issue with the collateral, because like that would be a drama for everybody. So in this case, we'll be definitely looking for third-party auditors or different types of service providers that can attest the validity of what's on the platform. But it's all going to depend as well on the asset type, right? If you have a startup, it's not going to be the same kind of assets and audits that you'll be looking for, like an apartment or for a fund or any type of asset, right? And coming back to the discussion we had the other day with ICM.run, like there's no one only token on it that will work in this space. I think that every token should have its own tokenomic design, right? Because like there's like Right Pump Fund did like $1 billion supply, and like everybody has its own migrating market cap because it was meme coin, so it was easy to have always the same thing. Here is really going to be different, because like you would have different asset types, different valuation, different shares that are sold. Sometime 100, sometime won't be 100. So like the range of what is possible is really going to change, and that's kind of like the modularity that we'll be working on and implementing as fast as we can.
I think that's the best perspective, and I think honestly, it's kind of foolish to take a position anything other than that. At the end of the day, we're so early in these stages of ICM. No one really knows where we're going to end up, and so you have some people, and like we love the back and forth. You have some people that are full equity guys. You have some people that are full, flywheel guys. And like you just said, it's going to be different for everyone depending on what works best for them.
Yes.
When I think of Collat, I want to ask, just do like a thought exercise here. When you think of the first project, or I should say the first asset you guys collateralized, how is that different or stacking up to the ones you see today? I have this tweet pulled up, and you're collateralizing this
Mizong,
really, this really cool building. Can you tell us
yeah.
about how you started or where you came from, and now what you're looking like today with this
Yeah.
awesome partnership?
So this one is going to be the first asset that we put on the launchpad in 2 days, right? So essentially, that is going to be like we have a couple apartment units in this building, and so essentially we would be like listing those. If the bonding target reaches, then we as a company would be acquiring the collateral assets, right? And then people would be trading it. And then it's really up to the issuer to what you can do with that. You could have either yields that are distributed when it's ready. This could be done through one of our partners like RainFi. It could also be done in forms of buybacks. So this is really depending on the issuer, how they want to structure the essentially like the economic model, and we'll be obviously releasing that before launch. So stay tuned for that.
That looks beautiful. That building is awesome. I'm excited to see that come on. Can you tell me about your partnership with RainFi? What do they do for you? What do they enable for Collat?
Yeah, so many different things. So one of them that is probably the most important is that we'll be allowing the staking of Collat. So that's number one for the main token. And so we are also working on providing those RWAs, let's say Mizong, as a way to lend and borrow in DeFi with that, right? So this is for me like the end goal with RWAs. Like you would have, let's say, take into example an apartment, right? So you would bond the apartment, so it would be now fully tokenized, collateral is backed, and now you could use those tokens to borrow or earn against, right? And so like now here you go, you got permissionless DeFi on Solana, and this is super exciting because like RWA are now really composable, they are transferable across DeFi, and then the collateral is backed as well. So I mean, it's definitely where we wanted to go, and I didn't even think that we would go that fast, but I think we're there today. So yeah, just super excited about that as well.
That is such a massive unlock. I don't think people realize, again, like when you look at real estate, typically in a liquid asset, not illiquid, but much more liquid, and then paired that with something like RainFi, where you can actually take that money that's tied in your real estate, earn, consistent, relatively stable yield. As we know, real estate's just been, going up for forever now, and then use that to actually trade other DeFi activities on Solana is such a huge unlock. When did you guys make that partnership with RainFi?
So RainFi is part of Super Team France. So we met them, during the Colosseum hackathon. And once again, I want to kudos like Solana and the Super Team because like these guys have been doing amazing work in connecting the great people at the right time. So that's how we met them. And then from there we were just discussing different synergies of things that we can do, what would be also coming next. So yeah, that's why we're really focusing on those first Collat staking, and then unlocking new features for RWAs in DeFi. And as you said, it's something that's probably people haven't understood yet what that means, but you're now more efficient than TradFi rails without having any permission from anyone to do so, and that is a massive unlock, 100%.
So then this is the question. You're more efficient than TradFi rails. How do you get that money on chain, right? Because there's lots of value for them to come on chain and work with you guys. What's the answer there?
Yeah, so I think the answer is definitely be around having first of all the macro cycles for liquidity. I think just globally M2 is definitely important when you look at even on-chain liquidity. I think this is number one. And then number two is kind of like getting attention, right? Because like attention drives capital. And then from there, you unlock lots of different possibilities. So, that's why we're also very focused on talking as well with, major players. I've been with BNP Paribas just before the summer. I was invited there just to talk about what we do, right? Because like the big guys are also starting to take attention to what is happening, and you know, you have obviously this very institutional focused views, but you also have like some major innovations that, you know, in DeFi that they're also eyeing. So I think it's just going to be a matter of global alignment with liquidity, with attention, but also having the good unlocks in terms of use cases. Once you show that you can tokenize, you can make liquid something that was not liquid, and then you can borrow or earn against it, well, that's, you know, it's really a game changer. And you know, one other thing, yes.
No, please continue. No, please continue.
Yeah. One other thing as well, like I've been discussing just before the summer, that's kind of like blew my mind. Like I was discussing with a VC, and I was essentially kind of like sharing the model for the launchpad, right? So like saying, okay, so we can list an asset. We're looking to raise XYZ amount at XYZ valuation. And then, you know, it would be fully liquid, and we as a company would be acquiring the collateral assets. And they were like, right, so you're telling me that we could potentially exit some of our position in, you know, a company, and you guys could be buying that bat with the launchpad and with DeFi liquidity? I was like, yeah, I mean, technically we could. And, you know, it's kind of like those 0 to 1 moments where everybody unlocks like what DeFi can do, what, you know, having RWAs, liquid trading means, and the power of that. So yeah, I'm just super excited about what's coming.
Generally speaking, what are some typically liquid assets that you think could benefit from something like this, where you guys make them a little more liquid? Are you guys just doing real estate, or is V2 going to maybe change this a bit?
No. So it's essentially anything that is not listed on the stock market, right? So it could be, you know, startups. It could be obviously real estate, because it's probably the most tangible thing that people tend to understand and to apprehend. Then you would have, you know, anything like collectibles. Essentially, like any asset in the world could be tokenized, right? You just have to see the depth of the liquidity that is required and the interest for people to hold it, right? So you could do IPO on chain from day one, right? You could also do that for, you know, real estate, right? You're looking to raise capital to like create a new building, or you have an existing apartment and you want to sell that. Could also be, you know, the case for paintings or stuff like that. Pokemon cards, yes, I see Zen talking about Pokemon cards. That, you know, the range of what you can do that is today illiquid, right? That you have to put, you know, XYZ amounts just to get one unique asset is massive. It's like 99% of the world's value, and that's what we're looking to unlock.
I have a question. I have some investment real estate, and I'm wondering just if you could walk me through kind of structurally how this works. Like if I come with a portfolio of investment real estate, do I bring it onto the Collat platform and upload my ownership documents? And like, how do I reflect that on the local city here in my region? Like, can you just walk me through like how one of those assets gets onto your platform?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, first of all, for now, we're just focusing on businesses, right? For now, at least. So we have to go through kind of like the understanding the business that you have, how the asset is structured, essentially like ensuring everything, you know, is secure and safe. And if everything works and you're looking to sell some of that real estate, well, we would be essentially kind of like listing that. And if the sale is successful, we'll be buying back that asset, essentially, in a nutshell. And so then you would be selling that to collateralize as a company, and we would have that on the balance sheet of the company.
And I know that you mentioned that you're kind of talking to some bigger players, right? Like there's some bigger TradFi players that are kind of interested in RWA and in that kind of sector. How much attention are you getting from these big TradFi players? But also, I know I know that TradFi is typically kind of slower moving. They're typically these kind of you know, bigger institutionalized firms, and they really want to kind of go step by step when it comes to new technology like this. So what's their reception like, and are they still just as slow moving as this as I described, or what's that like?
So there are two parts in the answers from what I can tell and what I've been witnessing. First of all, yes, they are still slow because those are massive companies. There are regulatory and compliance departments. They are no fun, right? These guys, like it's things that are very very rigid, but it's also for a good reason, right? Because like those guys have trillions under management, like billions of trillions under management. So I mean that's more than fine. But on the other side, what I think is very interesting is that they're seeing what is happening, seeing like tokenized equities. They are seeing stable coins volume going like that, right? And so they are starting to think like, okay, so maybe like in a year or two, we'll have some stable coins, but where are we going to allocate those? What are we going to do with those stable coins? Are we going to get some Solana? Are we going to do some treasuries? If so, how are we going to allocate our portfolio? So it's still early, I would say, but paving the way for bringing the world assets and make them liquid and tradable 24/7 is definitely like creating the infrastructure to like accept some of those stable coins, some of those assets, and also on the other side also providing kind of like the listing engine for those. So I mean that's what we're really focusing on, is building the infrastructure, building the platform, building the trust, building the community, putting essentially like all the rays together to make that happen. And so one other thing is that we also recently announced that we acquired a VASP license as well. As part of our regulatory strategy, we're definitely taking things super seriously, and we will be accelerating in the next weeks and months on that front. But yeah, just to say that institutions are understanding now, I think, the value of crypto and stablecoins. So we're really at the forefront of what is possible now.
So, sorry, Pierre, I misheard you. The license, can you explain what that license is and what it means? Because these types of licenses and regulatory approvals to do these things are really critical, and they set you aside from others in the space.
Yeah, so that is a virtual asset service provider, right? So VASP. And we also applied for MiCA, so Markets in Crypto Assets, which is the EU like regime that came into play this year. And so in terms of unlocks, that's how you could onboard different cryptos and funneling those into RWAs. But I won't expand too much on that for now, just because we have some some big updates coming. So
no, of course, I just want to make sure people got.
Yeah.
I think that kind of funnels back into the trust thing, right? I guess the biggest misnomer on chain is that everyone's a scammer. You can't trust them. And so like Collat has to make these partnerships. They have to have these, different moving parts in place to really build that trust. What would you attribute the most success to in that aspect of like what's really garnered you the most, this high level trust with your community?
I think first of all is like we've been building in public, and I think that helps a lot. Like we believe that like centralized ownership, and this is part like old model. The power of the community is where you get your strength, and that's what we really focus on. So that's on the community side of things, and then again kind of like having the collateral under management is definitely where we also make a little difference in the space, with the trust of a few big players that we built. And this is still day one, right? So we're looking to expand that as fast as we can, and we'll be also having some updates on these different fronts in the coming month. So yeah, just super excited. Now for us, the focus is really on getting attention and liquidity for that V2. I think we've had a lot of waiting and expectation from the community, and seeing the work that the team has put together to put that V2 at the launchpad, where you can on one side have an Airbnb experience where you see like the assets, and it's something very around the pictures and the emotion that you could have with those pictures, but also switch into a trading trading mode where you could ape some of that, is definitely going to be an interesting value prop. And putting that with different asset classes, all of that on Solana is definitely where we will focus on, and whether the innovation that we bring, I think, will make a difference.
And is the V2 going to have some sort of like trading terminal built into it, or like give us some guidelines? What should we expect for V2 that's going to really set it apart from V1?
Yeah. So I think everything is, as you said, is going to be like a much more easy tradable interface. The liquidity pool, like the migration and all of that, is going to be automated. We'll have much more liquidity. We've been also working with Meteora a lot to make that happen. So kudos on them. I think Meteora is doing amazing stuff in the community. So I think it's definitely something that you guys will see as well, whether you talk about liquidity, but also in terms of features that will be available on that launchpad. So yeah, essentially like what you can weigh is different assets, different asset classes as well, different bonding targets, but always the premise of having that collateral secured on chain, and have those assets that were previously illiquid now fully liquid and tradable in DeFi, and that's really what we're focusing on.
Okay, on a personal level, I want to hear what's the asset you're most excited about outside of the real estate you currently kind of have.
So we only announced this apartment units. We are preparing for more with different valuations. So I don't want to spoil the beans, but we're really trying to get some flagship assets here, and some asset that we probably couldn't get on a personal level. So I think kind of like giving the power to the community to participate to the bonding of that. If we do bond that, would be amazing.
Interesting. Well, we'll be looking out. Again, feel free to leak any alpha whenever you feel like it. We're going to be open and receptive to that. But I guess my next question to you would be, I was interested in how Collat's making money. Like, what is your way of making money? You obviously democratize a lot of this, for the people and stuff. But yeah, how are you guys bringing it in?
Yeah, so essentially, we still are kind of like a trading platform in some ways, right? We're focusing on RWAs. So trading is definitely like a major size of that. And we also take a migration fee on assets that do reach the bonding target, right? So we take a 5% migration fee, of which we have 75% that go into Collat buybacks, right? So those buybacks will resume as soon as V2 is live, which I think will create a lot of pressure and excitement in the community. So migration fees and then trading fees is definitely as well the bread and butter for us.
Well, okay, so I'm glad you mentioned that you have some buybacks going on. Again, the biggest talking point you hear people saying now with ICM, which I think it's heading in the right direction, is we need the utility of a token to be somehow tied to growth or tied to the business. Tell us about how Collat's doing that. You said you have some buybacks. What are you guys doing on the token side?
Yeah, so on the token side, we have this kind of like DAO structure. So essentially, like the goal is for people, essentially people who want to list, they would have to attain the partner level. So essentially holding 100K tokens, Collat tokens, to be able to list on the launchpad. And then we'll also be unveiling some of the flywheels related to that, right? So it's essentially like giving more utility for people who want to list them assets, giving a voice to the community for the future of the underlying assets, but also obviously kind of like accruing value into the token as well, with kind of like revenue that will be generated through this platform, also providing the incentive for people to hold it.
Is that more going to be revealed when we see V2 or just further?
Yeah, it's just a couple days.
So V2 is coming out the 10th. Like, what does that rollout look like? It's dropping the 10th. Everything's kind of go mode. Are you going to start slowly, adding assets, or is it going to be all at once? Just give me an idea.
We have like tens of assets that are ready to roll out. We'll be releasing like a good portion of that, but not everything, right? Because we just want to roll slowly, get the bonding, secured, see the buybacks happen, and then just increase the scale from there. And it's just going to be, really focusing on onboarding as much assets as possible, bonding as much assets as we can, and then, from there, get the community excited with what you can do with those, lending, borrowing against your apartment, your painting, or whatever you like. There are going to be some interesting use cases that come out from that.
Yeah, that's
Can
so
I
wild to
ask-
think of.
Can I? Oh, sorry. Go finish your thought.
It wasn't a
there, and then I
question.
have
It wasn't a question. It was just
Okay.
wild.
Yeah, I have a question just around like how price discovery kind of works here. So you have a bonding curve. Once something is bonded, it then becomes tradable. Obviously, in meme coins, like one of the big draws for meme coins is the volatility and people, you're in a classic casino. But something like real estate has a very slow kind of, the index price for real estate moves maybe 5% each way a year kind of situation. So how do you think about price discovery on this platform and attracting kind of that volume and trading activity?
Yeah, so it's a very good point, and I think like it's a very different meta here. First of all, these assets are tradable and liquid day one, right? So like, for example, if you were to buy, so like even on other tokenized real estate platforms, sometimes you buy and then you're locked for XYZ, like you're locked, right? The goal here is to enable trading, right? So you can buy and sell literally in 30 seconds if you want to just flip it. So that's one, and giving the possibility for anyone to have that possibilities is always kind of like a big achievement. And then when it comes to the horizons, when you have those assets fully liquid, well, you could have like 5% in a day in a swing, right? You don't know, and some people wait for that for a year sometime if they want to deposit or get some yield. So it's really going to be like a very different meta when it comes to kind of like capital appreciation, and also kind of like the range of possibilities. And we're also working on kind of like scenarios where if the price of the RWAs goes beyond the floor, well, you could have people CTO, right? Essentially that RWA, and having mechanics where you could, in some places, buy that RWA at a major premium, and do a CTO of it, like claim it in real life, right? That's massive.
Can I maybe do a little thought experiment here just for people to visualize this? So I'm kind of thinking like if things are liquid all the time in something like real estate, you kind of follow the index price, bit slow moving. But in this case, it could react to news flow in real time. So if there's like, a shock event or whatever, like price can change and then people see value in it. And so it's maybe less so that, price discovery is just, it's different, but it hasn't been done in this way before. So maybe we see a whole new emergence of price discovery on these things.
Yes, on V1 we had like a crazy scenario. I think one of the first, probably the first diamond that we put on the launchpad went, its real world value was like I think 6K. It went up to 300K. Like,
wow. Okay.
yeah, like, but at the end of the day, we have the collateral secured, so it could go up a lot, it could go down a lot, but at the end of the day, we have the collateral secured, and the value that is associated with that, right? And if it goes beyond or below the price, well, you have different arbitrage opportunities, and this is where you kind of like create new markets for assets that didn't touch any market before, just because they were illiquid, right? So it's definitely like a social experience that we're putting together.
For those that don't know how your platform might work, like there's obviously a trading market price, but is there a price that someone could come in with a buyout that then issues the buyout to all the holders?
That's one thing that we're working on implementing. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. There used to be a company called Fractional.art back in the day that did fractionalized NFTs, and you put like CryptoPunks into a vault, and then they had that kind of like a tradable price, but also a buyout price that would just,
Yeah, that's why I was mentioning with the CTO. So in some ways,
cool.
right? You would essentially like let's say you would put the buy price at, let's say, minus 25, minus 30%, and then just start accumulating the token at that price. And if you reach, a specific amount, then you could, start doing that CTO or buying back that token at way less than the reward price, and kind of like do some interesting moves on that front.
You mentioned something earlier, arbitrage, which I wanted to talk about. I think one thing that I think about when I compare ICM meta to maybe like meme coins is you can find a fair value for most of this stuff, right? Especially with real estate, a lot of the time it has like a fair value tied to it. So like there's opportunity for arbitrage when it goes above or below, overbought, oversold, that fair value. Are you seeing a lot of arbitrage bots on your site already, or is that not something you've seen too much of yet?
We started seeing some very interesting things on V1. Arbitrage is one. We also had people setting like separate pools that did hurt a little bit the platform. That's why we really rolled out V2, because like in V1 we had this kind of like concentrated liquidity, right? So like we wanted to protect the floor, but we're in DeFi, so like anyone can open a pool, just lower everything, and just fuck up the price, like the floor prices. So that's what we have been really focusing on putting for V2, is kind of like a solution for that.
Interesting. Yeah. So yeah, it's an interesting concept. When you think of, again, like back to that same thought process,
Yeah.
That's why AI does so well, because there's no real fair value you can tie to, because it's such an undiscovered niche or category. I guess you said in V2 you're going to roll out stuff that typically is illiquid and hasn't had tradable markets in the past. Do you think we're going to see some of those breakout cases where it's like we see something that has never been traded before finally be able to trade and gets this, like, there's no way to really give it a fair value, so it can reach these meme coin style, like, blow off tops?
Yes. So I think you're right. Like anything that is related to products or startups, AI, just techs that are just difficult to assess in terms of valuation, are the ones that can have like massive speculation, both in the real world but also on chain. And that's what you've been seeing, like with a few of these other launch pads, but also like companies in general, right? So that's one. But coming back to the question, I think you could have some I don't know, gold, that is worth maybe 10K that go to 1 million. Who knows, right? You just don't know. Yeah, Pikachu to 1 billion. Yeah, who knows? Someone just posted that in the chat, but who knows? And that's the crazy part, is because, like, let's say you take the example of a Pokemon card, right? You would have one of these cards that is worth 10K, but you have to get one dude to buy that 10K. Now you could have like 10K dudes buy just at a specific fraction or share of that asset. And so we don't know, like, you have no idea what can happen, and I think that's kind of like the beauty of having the market decide the price of these assets is purely going to be driven by the market demand, right?
It'd be insane to have a segment of all the original Pokemon cards and then just see them trading against each other. Like, that would be wild. But
Who knows? Maybe it's part of the plans. Who knows?
We saw, the whole idea of fragmentation a lot back in the NFT days. When you were thinking about tying collateralized assets to a market, did you have that back and forth, whether you wanted to do NFTs or like tokens for them, or was that pretty easy for you when you decided to make a market for them? Do you understand the question?
Can you just repeat, just to make sure I got it right?
Yeah. So back in the day, back when NFTs were hot, there was a lot of buzz around fractionalizing assets or tying assets to NFTs. What made you guys kind of choose a tradable token or a tradable market rather than tying assets to NFTs specifically?
Yeah, okay. I think it's just because it's much more commonly used, right? Like SPL tokens, ERC tokens, ERC20 or SPL or token 2022s. Like, those are much easier to connect liquidity, I think, than NFTs. Although NFTs, have also some very interesting specs, I think liquidity just flows just easier with regular tokens. I think it's just a matter of that.
It's all about liquidity. So like I
Yeah.
think that's a perfect answer.
Yeah.
Can you give us an idea of, because I know you mentioned that you guys are building a ton of guardrails. You're talking to much bigger players, like outside of just in our little crypto bubble. You're really trying to reach into the real world.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about the makeup of your team. I know you mentioned you're there, your co-founders there.
Yeah.
Give us an idea of like how big of a team is working on this and what that looks like for you guys.
Yeah, so we have like full-time team members, we have contributors, we have mentors. Like we have like a very vast ecosystem that is forming. But like the core team is mostly like tech backgrounds from Fangs and Microsoft as well. We also have people from I would say more corporate background, like audit firms as well, and financial firms as well, that are mostly looking at operations, finance as well. And then as part of the community, I see that then that is in the chat. He's really kind of like connecting with the APAC region. So he's been super active in helping us. We have Q Holder that is based in the US, who's like deving like a beast as well. And then with regards to the, I would say more mentors, we have people that are very closely tied to, policymakers, to governments, to also central banks, and not saying that we work with them on a daily basis, but at least they understand what we do. They really help us push the word in the right direction, and also kind of like it's important for us to also have this step back, right? Because like at the end of the day, we're here to be the platform that connects the I would say old world with the new world, and so you have to have a foot in each door, right? Making sure that you can connect, that you can also align interests between the different vibes, the different communities, but also making a product that people want on one side, but that also respects what I would say TradFi likes and TradFi is looking for. So that's why we're trying to get a very vast range of people who work with us, and we're always welcoming people who want to participate, because at the end of the day, and that's also why we're really implicated with ICM.run. At the end of the day, we're here to build the everything capital markets, right? Bringing every asset on the world on chain onto capital markets. But you have to have solid foundation to do that. You have to have a community. You have to have people who understand the value of doing that. And that's what we all are focusing on.
Do you think you're positioned the best to do this?
Well, we're trying. We're trying.
I got to give shout out to your community. They are super strong. They are always kind of in our notifications. We covered actually Collat for the first time on the show around like 9 million before it ripped to 80 million. And it was just the community was on us for doing that. I think Chill, you'll remember that. But yeah, it was great.
Yeah,
that
we
was
have
insane. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, started from the trenches, now we're here, right? And
I'll add this too.
Yeah.
too. And I think I told you, Pierre, in the messages that anytime I talk about another RWA project and put Collat in the same tweet, the community comes for me like,
Yeah.
why are you even talking about this with Collat? It's so funny, and they're so strong and passionate. It's hilarious. Now I just do it to troll them sometimes.
Yeah.
But I
Gets
think
the engagement.
ultimately, that respect that you've garnered from the community is a testament of what you guys have been doing and building over these last few years with Collat. And I know you mentioned, I mean, even before kind of issuing the token and everything, you guys have put in a lot of work, and I'm not sure everybody kind of realized that. But you were mentioning when we talked about the setup of the team, there isn't only a core team and a community that you've kind of put together, but there's also a group of mentors, kind of quote unquote advisors, or just kind of people that you're connected to that understand what you're building, can kind of help guide you on a regulatory front. You mentioned there are those that are connected to governments, central banks, and others. So I think that's really huge for anyone just looking into Collat to understand that this isn't just degens building some random platform, which has been done in RWA, before, where these random platforms have been built by these kind of anon teams with no clarity, whereas you guys are building a real product with real traction. We see that you guys are doing a lot in the RW space to push that sector forward. And I honestly, I'm giving it to you guys. You're the first ones to do it on Solana. I'm just gonna give it to you guys because I don't think I've seen it before.
I appreciate it, but yeah, it's been a lot of long days, long nights. Yeah, it's a lot of stress, but it's also a lot of good times as well. Like building live with kind of like this kind of a community in this space. I think Solana is as well like massive in terms of support. So we're just super excited to be building an ecosystem, and also always excited to collaborate with other players as well, because at the end of the day, we have to build bridges, whether it's in Web3 or outside of Web3. I think like building connections, building partnership is absolutely key, and having the distribution pipeline and the community to resonate that is absolutely required. So we're really trying to put that together and just accelerate, keep going.
Pierre, I wanna
And
touch on the community real quick. Chill. Regarding the community, I tell all the projects we work with that the community is typically a direct representation of their leadership. For you built out this community for Collat. What's been the key to kind of doing that and making this community so strong?
I don't know, man. I honestly, I don't know. I think it's just that we just chat in Telegram with the community, so we're pretty close to everyone, and I think that resonates as well with what people like, and it's also fun for us to be chatting with the community, and I think it just gives the ties that we are writing.
Nice. Chill.
Yeah, my co-founder just told me like we're creating a religion, like tokenize everything. So that's
Dude,
the.
I got a question. Is this like this? Are you in a house with a bunch of the guys here? Like, are you guys just working, grinding together?
I see this on your yeah. I also saw this in Telegram here. I think one of your team must have posted it, but it's this is the multiverse right here.
Yeah, it is. It is. So that's Paul Antoine, a co-founder as well.
Hi guys.
How's it going? And what's your name?
Paulo.
Nice to meet you, Paul. So what's the situation of this house? Can you just fill us in, because it looks like a big hacker house?
Yeah, it is. It's Super Team France, who has like a building in Paris for a month. So we're here grinding
with a bunch of teams. So yeah, we are not alone.
Is that a float tank that I see in the corner there? Like, what is that? Or a tanning bed in front of you?
So essentially, like I could give you a house tour, but like you have like you have a yoga like session here, and you have some different pillows and stuff, and upstairs you have all the crazy degens. Like it's crazy. So yeah, we just went down to have a little bit of calm, but then we're gonna go back up, and everybody's shouting over there. So
dude, I love that. It feels like early Facebook days or something.
Yeah.
That's the kind of energy. That's why you have such a strong community. Like if you're talking to them every day and they're seeing this kind of grind that's being put in, like that, they're gonna have that kind of energy. And one thing I wanted to ask you guys as well. I know you mentioned you I believe you spoke with the super team, the Solana super team. Can you speak to like your relationship with just Solana in general, not just the super team? And did that kind of like open up any like broader conversation with Solana or anything? Or
yeah, we've been talking to a few folks from Solana. I think there's a lot of interest around RWAs on Solana, and how do you make that? Because like they were the one that were really starting bull posting internet capital markets, right? And I think it started from there, where you had those tokenized equities, you had this real estate on chain, you had our launchpad as well was retweeted by Toli. So I think there's a lot of interest from Solana to make RWAs big on that specific chain. I think ETH was historically the biggest one for RWAs, and I think there's like a natural conversion because like Solana has the speed, the traction, and the communities, and now the RWAs. So I think it's definitely where they want to go. We have some good talks with
and the institutional awareness is starting to really build. Like I think it started on Ethereum first, but I just saw there was another fund that or a publicly traded one of these corporate treasury companies. They raised like 1.2 billion or something to buy souls. So it's really heating up.
The DATS trade on Sol is looking good.
Yeah. Solana is definitely the chain to be on. I mean, just no matter what you do, Solana is where you have traction, users, volume, speed, low fees, build a community, and that's why we're here with the super team as well. Like, it's just like a passion for everybody to be building together, and it's also much easier when you can connect to anyone. And you just switch of room, and you just talk to someone that is working on trading. You go to another room; it's the gaming room. Like, you just have like this kind of like, as you said, like early stage vibes of major companies where everybody's building, everybody's hiking, everybody's just making it happen and having the energy to do so. So yeah, it's really bullish.
Well, when we bring MCG to France, we'll have to hit you up in the house and do a real in-person pod in the basement there.
You guys should have a camera 24/7 just up you guys grinding. Just the room.
Maybe.
You guys are really doing a lot for the French dev community. I'm not sure if you've seen, but the French devs get a lot of hate for not working hard.
That's such an American thing to say.
I know, we lost Pierre.
I think
he didn't like that one. We lost him. It was a compliment.
I think let's see if we get him back. I want to ask him. He's like, all right, bad question. I'm out of here.
It's all love. It's all love. Honestly, Ledger really paved the way for the space, and they're based out of France. So
you gotta ask, right?
Now, I wanted to ask, like, if they're getting any like kind of help, assistance from Solana. Like, I mean, they've been super bullish on internet capital markets. They've been really bullish on RWAs. I want to see if there's any direct. I mean, it would be good for Solana if they were to support their, one of the largest RWA projects on the ecosystem. So Pierre, we got you.
Yeah, I lost my connection. Yeah,
no worries.
Also have like
a live show. Things happen.
So I might drop any second from there.
You said 8 minutes?
I think he said,
Sorry.
Okay. Well, no worries, Pierre.
Go ahead.
I think the last thing that we'll ask you just to kind of wrap this up is, I know Solana, we were talking about they're bullish on ICM, they're bullish on RWA. Are they like lending any support to you? Obviously, you're probably on your way, if not already, our biggest RWA project on Solana's ecosystem. Are you getting any like direct help from them, or are they assisting you in any way, opening doors?
Not yet, but I hope it will manifest very soon. I think
Gotcha.
for now we're just still in the trenches phase. We're just doing everything we can, day, night. We're just doing everything. So I think this will probably manifest soon. I hope with this V2, we'll have kind of like a very good solution for RWAs on the market. Definitely, probably the most innovative RWA platform in the space, and it's going to happen on Solana. So I think there's definitely some alignment of interest here. So yeah, excited to make it happen.
Got it.
Well, let's wrap with this then. You got V2 coming out on the 10th, right? Some stuff to look forward to. Just give the people a quick sign off note, something to look forward to, what they should expect in the coming weeks, months, and years for Collat.
Years, I think, our goal is definitely to be one of the biggest tokenized asset management firm, like long-term vision. We're not here to build like a startup for like the next 6 months. We're definitely here to, bring tokenized assets to the masses. And that's really our vision. And then in terms of, timing for the rest, we do one step at a time with maximum intensity. So shipping that launchpad, putting more assets, driving that flywheel where you have some buybacks, some volume, some assets under management, some more partners, some more issuers, and have all of that snowball effect coming. And on the side as well, obviously ICM.run have that, incubating a lot of new companies, startups, and hopefully having some of the best that also start building on Collat. We'll also be looking forward to that. So yeah, just super bullish on that.
We always seem to have incredible timing with these things on the show for some reason, but the NASDAQ filed with the SEC to tokenize stocks, letting investors trade equities traditionally on chain with full shareholder rights. So you guys are in the right market at the right time, and I think it's just the beginning. So
Absolutely.
let's go.
Well, Pierre, thanks for coming on. Once V2 rolls out and it's a smash hit in a few months, we got to get you back on to just reconvene and talk shop.
Yes.
Awesome.
100%. Thank you, guys. It was good having you.
Yes, bro. Great talk. Take it easy.
Appreciate it, Pierre. Take care.
Thank you, guys. Bye.